Hello, 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 everyone. How are you today? Thanks for connecting with me. Thank you so much for attending this webinar, The Science of Silence. You've got to be grateful that you're here today, and I am also grateful that you're here today. And I can assure you that you're in for an amazing hour with me. We'll probably be here for just over an hour, but it's going to be an amazing time together on the science of silence. Today, I will be taking a deep dive into what silence really means, what noise really means, and how you can dial down the volume, how you can maintain inner peace and serenity, and how you can thrive in your world. If you can hear me clearly, I'd like you to just put that in the chat and say, yes, I can hear you clearly, loud and clear, loud and clear. Thanks for joining me. Let me know where you're from. I am based in Sydney, Australia, for those who do not know, and it's 7:02 a.m. here in Sydney. Let me know where you're connecting from. I'd like to connect with you. Hey, Heavy, I see you. I see you, Heavy. I know you live in Sydney too. I did know, but yes, you're welcome. Thank you so much for connecting with me. Please let me know where you're from. Thank you so much. Yes, Oluwapelumi says loud and clear. Yes, yes, yes. Thank you so much. Let me know where you're connecting from. Please make sure you share this link with someone. If you know anyone in your family, in your network, at work, in your community that need to hear this, please share this word with them right now, because I will be doing an exploration of the whole theme of silence. And I am assuring you that you're going to get so much value from this. You're going to get so much value. Thank you, Librate from Nigeria, Olatuboso from the USA in DC. Hey, amazing. Thank you for connecting. Esther from Delta State, thank you for connecting. Thank you. So please share the screen all around now with everyone, with your friends. Yes, share it with people. Make sure that all those WhatsApp groups, let them know that, hey, Dr. Nee is speaking live right now on the science of silence. I'll be going deep into the neuroscience of silence, and I will be opening your eyes to see some amazing things that I've learned and I've been practicing that has helped me, generate that inner peace and thrive. Thank you so much. Rachel from Nairobi, Kenya. Sorry, I can't get everyone. I can acknowledge everyone, but I see you. I see you. Ari from Bonny Island. Thank you so much. Musumola, thank you so much from Badagry. Thank you for connecting with me today. We're in for an amazing time. OJ from Port Harcourt, thank you so much. Thank you for joining me today. The science of silence is what we're going to be doing. And for those of you connecting on all the platforms, whether it's on Facebook, on LinkedIn, whatever platform it is that you're connecting with me right now, I salute you. I appreciate you. Thank you for taking the time. Thank you for valuing me enough to connect with me right now. Thank you, whether you registered for this event or whether you just got the notification or you just got the link. Thank you for valuing this moment to connect with me so that you can get value. And I know that you will get value today. Thank you so much. Any other person, let me know. Any other person, let me know where you're from. Let me know. Please put it on the screen so I can see team. And for my Instagram people as well, I know I'm on multiple platforms today. Instagram, I love you guys. Thank you so much. If you're not following me on Instagram, you can follow me at Niborere on Instagram. Thank you so much for connecting. I'll be teaching today on the science of silence. The science of silence. That's what I'll be teaching today about. Oh, my people, Ms. Olabode, thank you so much. All the way from British Columbia. Phoebe from Russia. Wow, amazing. Phoebe from Russia, thank you for connecting with me today. I will be teaching on the neuroscience of silence. Funke from London. Thank you so much, Funke, for connecting. Please share this link. Lara from Canada. Wow, there are a lot of Canadian people. I will be in Canada very soon. I'll be in Canada. I'll be telling you about this. I'll be in Canada in 2 months' time, and I'll be going across different cities in Canada, Toronto, Regina. So the Canadian people, get ready for me. You'll be seeing me live in Canada. Afolabi, hey, my man in Brisbane. Thank you so much. Hey, Mr. Amatri from Abuja. Thank you so much, sir. We need to talk. KG from Abu Dhabi. Thank you so much. All right, let's get into the flow. We've got so much to cover today on the science of silence. So much. And I'll be sharing my screen. I'll be teaching from my screen. For those on Instagram, sorry, you will not be seeing my screen, but I would explain as much as possible. So I've got people on the different devices. Hopefully you can help me get the questions or anything out that will be useful. Thank you so much. So we'll start with the science of silence. And I've got a lot of stuff here that I would be um, talking about. So before we talk about silence, I think we will have to first of all talk about noise. All right. Before talking about silence, I think we should talk about noise. And I'm going to talk to you about noise from two dimensions. I'm going to talk about noise, um, external noise, and I'll be talking about internal noise. So the two dimensions of noise. Okay. Before we go into silence, we have to really explore what noise is and what noise is not. As I said, I'll be talking about external noise and I'll be talking about internal noise. Those are the two dimensions of noise I'll be talking about. And when we talk about external noise, we've got auditory noise. Auditory noise is the noise that you can perceive with your ears. And we'll talk about informational noise, which is the noise that comes from information. All right. So please follow me because I'm going to break down what noise is. You cannot appreciate true silence if you don't understand what noise is. All right. Because it's very important. Okay. So let's start as we explore that and take a deep dive into what noise really is. Okay, so let's start with auditory noise. Auditory noise. Now, auditory noise. Auditory noise is the noise that we are so exposed to all the time. It's the noise that you can hear right now. The sounds of my voice, you hear the sounds of my voice going through the auditory system that then are transmitted as electrical signals into your brain. That's auditory. Now, the first and the most prominent and the most tangible type of noise is auditory noise, which is external. It's the noise that comes from outside of you. We're talking about the science of silence today, but as I said, before I talk about silence, I need to talk about noise. All right. So auditory noise is the noise that comes from outside, external noise, and we're all exposed to that. The noise of moving cars, of helicopters buzzing all around us, of gadgets. If you're in the hospital system, like I work in the hospital system, hospital monitors, pinging away, the TVs, everywhere you are, there's a constant conversation in open plan offices. Everywhere we are, we're exposed to auditory noise. Auditory noise is almost inevitable. All right. And it's probably the most um, tangible form of noise that we are going to be exposed to. Everywhere there's noise, 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 noise. In fact, the National Park Service in the United States states that our ambient auditory noise doubles every 3 decades. So every 3 decades, the auditory noise, external noise increases. It's amazing. So we're creating and generating more and more noise externally. And the external noise, the auditory noise that we're exposed to, certainly has a lot of impact, all right, on our internal space, on our inner peace. And that's why it's important to explore that. Now, do you realize this? I was just studying this about the emergency vehicles. Okay, this is what an ambulance vehicle looks like in Australia. All right, in 1912, all right, you could hear the sound of a siren easily from 11 feet away, and it was just about 96 decibels. Now, the sirens of emergency vehicles have been used as a way to measure the loudness of our communities. The better you can hear, the louder you can hear, or the farther away you can hear the sound of a siren, the less ambient noise there is in the community. But over a period of time, between 1912 and 2019, the loudness of the emergency sirens have increased, and that's because the ambient external noise has increased. The sirens have had to increase so that the noise can cut through the surrounding ambient noise, and that's really important to know. So we live in a world that is becoming more and more noisy. Every time there's increased ambient noise everywhere, external noise is on the increase, and it's auditory. We can hear it. We can hear it. External noise is on the increase. All right. What about this? If you look at Europe, this is a map of Europe. Can you imagine that 20% of the people living in Europe right now live in noise levels that have been deemed by the World Health Organization as being hazardous to health? All right, more than 20%, over 120 million people in Europe. I've not even gone to Africa. I've not even gone to America. I've not even gone to Asia. Okay, just within Europe, that you will think is, the most sophisticated, has the most sophisticated societies and communities. More than 120 million people live in hazardous sound conditions. So auditory noise is out there, and it's really intense, and it's doubling and tripling every few years. And there's nothing we can do about it. From the sound of the cars that we drive into have you ever been to some of those marketplaces? Have you been to airports? Cities. Go to the city center and see the amount of noise in our offices, everywhere we go, in the hospitals, in the hotels, in the waiting rooms. There's so much noise generated, external noise, and it's getting worse and worse and worse, and it's more and more intense. I hope you guys are following me. I hope you're following me. If you're following me, put it out there that you're following me. Yeah, good, 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 good. All right. I go to the next type of noise, informational noise. Wow, wow, wow. Informational noise is also on the increase, and it's getting worse as well. Informational noise is, in fact, this is probably the most important, the most significant, the most powerful type of noise there is. All right, look at it. Information. We're in the information age, and our exposure to technology has brought a lot of blessings to us. With increased information now, we can stream services. How many of us have? The other day I was doing an audit of the subscriptions that I have from Netflix to Paramount to Prime TV to Disney World. All of those things, we can stream and we can do all of these things because of the information age that we live in. We can have Zoom calls with our family members from distance. We can play games online, and some people actually do it professionally. Professional gaming, you can hang out with a friend in a different continent and play FIFA PS5 game, and you play it online and in real time, and you guys can have fun. Our kids can learn from school. Some of you have done online courses where you connect with your tutors and your teachers in real time. Technology has made life different. It's revolutionized the way we learn. How many of us work from home now? A lot of us work from home since COVID. We're stuck at home. I'm in my home office as well, and many a times I work from home. That's technology. And look at me, I'm right here in Sydney, Australia. I'm in Sydney, Australia, 7:13 a.m. on a Saturday. Some of you are still in the past, in Friday, in Canada, I'm sure. And there's someone here from Russia. There's somebody here from Europe. There's somebody here from the Middle East. Look at all of us connected together through technology. That's what the world we live in. But yes, technology has brought so many blessings to us, but it's also brought many, many problems to us. And that's one thing that a lot of us do not realize, that we're paying the price of our exposure to too much technology. Look at what Eric Schmidt says, a former CEO of Google. He said there were 5 exabytes of information created between the dawn of civilization through to 2003. Since 2003, that much information is now created every 2 days. Do you understand that? The volume of data from the dawn of civilization, going through all the great revolution, the industrial age, up until 2003, 5 exabytes of data every 2 days, from our Instagram videos and Instagram chats and Zoom meetings and YouTube downloads and streaming services and text messages and group emails and website cookies and all of those things. We now create every 2 days the equivalent of data that was created for millennia. It's crazy the amount of data we're exposed to. It's crazy. It's beyond belief that the amount of data every one of us is exposed to. Now, in this webinar, you would see a lot of my written notes. I write notes with my hands. Yes, I write notes. So I like writing things down, and you'll probably see some of my handwriting. Hopefully, it's a doctor's handwriting. So I'll try to read it if you can get it right. Okay, all right. Let me read this. This is what I've written here. There is more and more mental stuff competing for your attention. Look at what the Radicality Group said. They're a tech-based firm. Look at what they said. They said 128 billion business emails are sent every single day. Were sent every single day in 2019. This was 2019, before COVID. 128 billion business emails. That means that an average business user contains with 128 messages every day. All right, there's an explosion of informational noise that is just beyond belief. Look at this. This was by Statistica. All right, in 2021 it was estimated 333.2 billion emails were sent and received each day. All right, and by 2025 this will increase to 376.4 billion emails on a daily basis. And that number is continuing to rise. So you see, we're not just at the mercy of auditory noise, our ambient noise. The environment is getting noisy. But even then, there's this new technology-driven informational noise that we're exposed to. How many of you receive group emails? Have you gone to your spam folder? Thank God for spam. All right, and check how many of those emails are there. Imagine if there was no spam folder and all of these emails keep coming to you. All right, it's just amazing. Incredible the amount of data we're exposed to. Today, each of us generates more information than ever before in human history. Our world is now awash in an unprecedented volume of data. The trouble is that our brains haven't evolved enough to process it all. There's this constant information stream where more and more information, more and more data is invading our lives. And it's just difficult where we shop, what we buy, where we're right now, the economy, so many things come into our space. Information, sometimes even data we don't need. We get messages about microorganisms, we get messages about galaxy. You turn on your phone and you hear about NASA, you hear about the telescopes that they're releasing out there, monitoring galaxies. You hear about the weather on Mars or weather on Pluto, or what the geological conditions are on Venus. All right, you hear about traffic jams in Singapore or in Korea. We're just exposed to so much noise. Open up your phone and look at your feed and see how much of this information is relevant to you. Unfortunately, this information will continue to go faster and faster, traveling through all these massive servers down to your very fingertips, your own fingertips, through tiny devices, small devices. This tiny little iPhone, this old iPhone, has more processing power than the entire NASA had for Apollo mission when they went to the moon. I say that again. This tiny iPhone, and it's an old one, all right, has more processing power than NASA had when they sent the man to the moon. So we have so much technology, we have so much data, we have now devices that we can easily use. Look at this study. This is a 2011 study which showed that everyone is now bombarded by the equivalent of 174 newspapers of data a day. And we do this subconsciously. This is you're not aware of it because it's not presented. If I ask you to read a whole newspaper a day, would you read it? You probably would not. You will skip through a lot of pages. But what if I told you that in 2011, more than a decade ago, we were already exposed to information that was equivalent to 174 newspapers a day? And we're not doing anything about it. And we're talking about, depression is on the rise, suicide is on the rise. People are not, people are struggling with their mental health, and people cannot sleep anymore. Insomnia is there, and people are losing, losing touch with families, and people are getting more disconnected, and our youth are not thriving, and people are, losing their purpose, and blah, blah, blah. Well, maybe there is a cost to pay for this exposure, this unlimited, untamed exposure to informational noise. Can you imagine how much of information we're exposed to right now? We think it's good. Well, yes, it's a blessing, but maybe there's a problem as well that we need to pay attention to. Look at what our lives are like today, right now, okay? During your leisure time, not just counting work, just being in leisure time, each of us will process up to 34 gigabytes. That's about 100,000 words every day in our leisure, just by scrolling through our phones and just by reading our news feed. There are over 21,000 television stations in the world producing more than 85,000 hours of original programming every day. And if the average person, the Americans, for example, an average American will watch 5 hours of TV every day. That's equivalent to 20 gigabytes of audio and video images. Every hour, YouTube uploads about 6,000. I'm doing a live show on YouTube right now. Every hour, over 6,000 hours of video are uploaded on YouTube, and that's increasing every year. What about computer games? The amount of data that the gaming industry generates every year is more than the amount of data ever encoded in TVs or DVDs or magazines or even the internet. The gaming industry generates more data than any of these other industries combined every year. So we're living a big data world, and it's just it's just amazes me that a lot of us are not taking time to just pause and think, what is the cost? There must be a cost. What is the impact? How is this affecting my life? Listen to me. Your brain's capacity to process all of this information is limited. And I know you tell me about Jim Quick's book, Limitless. Yes, we'll come back to that. I'm not a guru that you see on YouTube. I'm here to give you facts. It is true that our brains are designed specially to handle complex stuff, and we've got billions and billions of neurons in our brains. We've got over 100 billion neurons in our brains, with each of them with more than 10,000 connections. So your brain, as you're listening to me right now, has over 120 trillion connections, firing constantly, generating power. Your brain is like a power plant, a supercomputer that would never turn off. From the day you were born, it's been just releasing so much power. Yes, there's so much processing power there, but the capacity to handle many things at the same time is limited. Our brains do not have that ability to handle all of this information and all of the data that we're exposed to. Not that we can't process the information we take in, we can process them, but there's a high cost for doing that. Remember that the neurons in your brain are living cells and they consume oxygen, they consume glucose, and after working hard, they can fatigue and they can get tired. There is a huge cost to the constant barrage and exposure, especially untamed, unlimited exposure to information. And if you're not very careful about how you control the gates to your mind, you will, at a subconscious level, non-consciously do damage to yourself. Some of you will not read a book. Some of you have not read a book. You can't even sit down to read a book. But what if I told you that you have more than, if we combine the data on the average person's laptop, you have more than 1,000 books there. Imagine what I said, the statistic I showed the other time, that every person is exposed to information of that is worth about 174 newspapers, and this was a few years ago. Now imagine what it is like now. Imagine what it is like now, and yet we don't read. How can we be exposed to so much data and still yet we are still lacking in knowledge, and still yet there's no inner peace? That's because the exposure to auditory noise and informational noise is robbing us of something deep on the inside of us. And I worry about our children, I worry about us, and I worry about the danger that this is doing to us. But you're here to find a solution. We're here. This webinar is about finding a solution, but you can't find a solution to a problem you do not understand. So my job here in the next few minutes is to still dive deep into this whole concept of noise and how it affects us as humans. All right. Every status update you get on Facebook, Instagram, whatever, every tweet you get, every text message you get from a friend, everything that you get, every alert you get from social media is competing with your attentional resources. You're listening to me right now, and your phone, a text message comes through. That is competition. Everyone is competing for your attention, whether you like it or not. There's a constant battle for your attention, and how you allocate those attentional resources will go a long way in determining how much of peace you experience on the inside. There's a constant pressure. This man is a man that is the father of, you know, considered one of the top psychologists that ever lived. Look at what he did in his work. He said the processing capacity of the conscious mind has just been estimated to about 120 bits per second. So even though there's a lot of power generated by the brain, the processing capacity of the brain is limited. There's no doubt about that. That's Mihaly. I can't pronounce his last name. It's very long. It's, I think, from Czechoslovakia. He says, but look at what I wrote this time. He said, we need 60 bits of information per second to process when a person speaks. And that includes interpreting the sounds and retrieving the memory. So as you're listening to me right now, your brain is working at a processing speed of 60 bytes or bits or bytes per second. Compare that to your computer, the processing speed of your computer. What does that tell you? That means that the bandwidth for processing of the brain, of the conscious mind, is limited. That's the speed limit of the traffic of information that your brain can allow when you are conscious. That is limited at any one time. You know what that means what that means? So if the processing capacity of your conscious mind is 120 bits, and if the processing capacity of your brain when listening to somebody speak is 60 bits, what does that tell you? It means that you can only listen to two people at a time and really make sense of what they're saying. Even if those two people are talking so fast, you will not get them. By the time you add a third person, that's why if three people are arguing, you will miss a lot of what they're saying. You will not get their point because your brain cannot cope. If three people are talking at the same time, talking over each other, your brain cannot cope. It's just the architecture of the brain will not allow you to do that. Even though the brain is robust in itself and has so much processing power, its processing speed, the bandwidth is restricted. The bandwidth is restricted. And later, if I have time, I'll talk about multitasking and a few other things that we often deceive ourselves with. I would think we're great multitaskers and blah, 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 blah. So under most circumstances, you will really be able to understand 2-3 people when they're talking at the same time. Now, imagine that we live in a planet where we are surrounded by billions of people. Imagine the way we do things, how, some of us, for example, I'm online and I'm chatting with so many people and I'm, having 4 or 5 or 6 or 10 people. How efficient will I be? Who am I really reaching? And how is that not why we're becoming more and more distant? Because now the world is more global and we have more friends. You've got to have more followers. You've got to have more people in your space. You've got to have more friends, more people. Not realizing that our capacity to process all of this information is limited. Am I communicating to you? I've not even got into silence. I've just talked about noise and I've just scratched the surface of noise. So far, for those who have just joined me, thank you for joining the Science of Silence webinar. Please share this link with anyone else. We're still scratching the surface. We're getting there. I've talked about auditory noise. I've talked about auditory noise and I've talked about informational noise. Now I will go to internal noise. That's a total type of noise, internal noise. And that is probably the most important, type of noise that we would think about. I like this book by Ethan Cross, Chatter, The Voice in Your Head and How to Harness It. You know what Ethan said? Ethan is a professor of psychology from Michigan. He said, chatter is that are the cyclical negative thoughts and emotions that turn our singular capacity for introspection into a curse rather than a blessing. The cyclical negative thoughts and emotions that happens in our head, the voice in our head, that's chatter. And I'm telling you, if we talked about the power of informational noise, let me tell you, the inner voice, the internal noise is even worse. And some of you can bear witness to me right now. Some of you are listening to me right now, and you know that the voice in your head is so loud and so annoying. It's even worse when you have a mood disorder, when you've got anxiety or you've got OCD, and you keep hearing that same voice so loud that you can't you shut everything down. You close everything down. You go away from people, but the voice, there's no peace on the inside of you. That's your inner chatter. And it's going loud and loud and loud. Look at that. Negative self-talk, like rumination about the past and worry about the future, can sometimes be merciless and debilitating because it's ruminative. It goes over and over again. It's on replay. Some of you have the voice in your head on replay, and it's just playing over and over again. You ruminate about the past, you worry about the future. Ruminate about the past, you worry about the future. Somebody said worry is like a rocking chair. It keeps you busy, but it takes you nowhere. Yes, you keep rocking in your mind. You keep rocking in your mind. Your mind is so busy. And even though you don't have external contact, even though there's no auditory noise, you're in a quiet room. All right. I'm in a quiet room right now, and I'm only exposed to ambient noise. But my mind could still be going so fast, so fast that my mind could still be going so fast that it's even noisier than the New York subway. Look at this. The voice in your head is a very fast talker. I wrote this down. The voice in your head is a very fast talker. Inner speech is condensed to a rate of 4,000 words per minute. That's 10 times the speed of express speech. Now, I was talking about I said earlier on that the brain's processing power is about 120 bits per second. That means you can only process the speech of two people at a time. That means if you were an audience member listening to a debate, you can follow a debate of two people. That's the maximum. Once there are three talking together, you lose a lot of bandwidth, you lose a lot of the content. Imagine that 10 times of that is what happens in your head. What a lot of us don't realize is that inner speech is high pressure, high volume. It's condensed. And I'll come later in one of my later slides. I will talk about how inner speech develops from childhood, all right, to into adulthood, how we develop our inner speech. Why is inner speech so powerful? Why will a young man who has everything all around him, a celebrity who has a great career, a great family, hear this constant noise voice in their head telling them that they are not good enough, telling them that they are this, they are worthless, they are guilty, they are blah, blah, blah. And that person will go on, lock the door, hang themselves. How many times do we see this? And some of you here, maybe you know somebody who's committed suicide, or you've, hopefully not in your family, but maybe you've had contact with somebody who's committed suicide. I had a patient not too long ago who attempted suicide, a young boy who had a relationship problem with his girlfriend. And I just wondered, why will you hang yourself because of a problem with a girlfriend? Well, luckily he was found early and he did not die, but he has irreparable brain damage. He has, hypoxic brain injury from hanging. 20-something-year-old boy with a great career, great future. But there was this loud noise in his head because of the argument that just kept telling him that he was not good enough, that you're a mess, you're this, you're that. And the voice in the head goes so fast. It's condensed and it's high volume, high pressure. Now you understand why people who are rich, who are happy, happy on the outside, who are comfortable, who have great careers, who do great things, do stupid things, or end their lives prematurely because of this constant niggling, nagging chatter that goes on in the brain. You see, internal dialogue is high velocity and high volume, whether its message is negative or positive or neutral. The content does not matter. Internal dialogue is high pressure, high volume. So when you see a lot of people talk about affirmations, and people don't understand the power of affirmations. They think, okay, yeah, I don't want to go into all of that now, because sometimes that's also overblown. That's also overblown. So people think, oh, you can think your way out of any problem. You can use positive conversions to get yourself out of any. That's also overblown. There are a lot of fake gurus out there, a lot of fake coaches, fake mindset coaches. Have you heard of those terms? Mindset coach, mindset coach. A lot of them are fake. All right, I'm telling you the truth, because they don't have any training, they don't have any, they just do an NLP course and do one or two things online, and a mindset coach. All right, that's not true. So you cannot think your way out of poverty. You cannot think your way out of, you cannot think your way into medical school and then become a doctor, for example. You can do that. You have to still put in the work. All right. But what is important here is that you need to start to understand how the mind works and how you can take ownership of that internal dialogue. The most important dialogue, and somebody should put this down very clearly, the most important dialogue that you ever have on a daily basis is the internal inner dialogue. When you're talking to somebody, the fastest you can process 60 bits in a minute, maybe 100 words, or maybe 1,000 words, maybe 100 to 400 words per minute. But when you're speaking to yourself, it's condensed about 4,000 words. High velocity. When you speak to yourself in slangs and in short form, condensed speech. Look at this. The stages of internal speech development. Stage 1 is external dialogue. All right. Now, stage 1 is when we're babies. If you take any baby, all right, the babies, they look at the environment. The baby looks at the parents talking, looks at people talking, their older siblings talking. External dialogue. The dialogue that happens when the baby is observing is external to the baby, because the baby does not have the capacity to generate speech. But the baby is learning, and the brain of the baby is learning, receiving. They can hear the sounds. So the brain is now making sense of the sounds. That's external dialogue. Or when you talk to a baby, or the mom, if a mom carries a baby and smiles at the baby, that's non-verbal cues, and try to get the baby, hey, hello baby, that's external dialogue. All of that is happening outside of that baby. Now, you know what happens after a while? As that baby starts to grow, the baby starts to learn private speech. Have you watched a child, a toddler, playing with toys alone? I had my boy is no longer a toddler, like 6 years old. But I remember that when he started playing alone, he would talk to himself. He would take a toy and say, "Hey, Captain, whatever. Hey, Mister, whatever." Or well, that's boy play. If it's a girl, the girl will take their Barbie and say, "Oh," they'll talk out. They're on their own. They're not crazy. Our toddlers are not crazy, but they've not been able to internalize that speech. The voice in their head, it's not got into it's outside, so they have to say it out. It's private speech. And if you watch, I think I watched a series some time ago during the lockdown of I think it was a British show or a reality show. Somebody remembers that, you can put it on the screen. Type it out for me. A reality show for toddlers where they put secret cameras, like secret live of toddlers or something like that, in a daycare center. And they watch those toddlers, some of them the way they interacted with each other, and some of them the way they interacted alone. Private speech. Now, after the private speech, as a toddler grows to become a child, they would learn how to internalize private speech into inner speech. But inner speech is expanded. And then as they mature neurocognitively, and as their speech matures, that inner speech becomes condensed. It becomes condensed. So that's why inner speech, look at that. The conversation we're having now is external dialogue. But the conversation that you have with yourself is condensed. It uses simple terms, truncated utterances, and it's spontaneous and non-conscious. Meaning that to have internal dialogue with yourself, you don't need to think about it. It happens a lot. Even as you're listening to me right now, you've been talking to yourself. You say, "Oh, look at my life," or whatever. You may even be talking to yourself about me. Look at him. Oh, Look at what he's saying is true. You're talking to yourself. You're having internal dialogue. But if we were to stretch it out, if we had a microphone into your mind and played it out, you will be surprised that the internal dialogue you have will be longer than the whole webinar, because it goes fast, high velocity, high volume, high velocity, high volume, and it can be repetitive, and it can be ruminative, and it can be destroying if it's negative. If there's anything you should take out of this, is the power of internal speech, the voice in your head. The problem is that the voice in your head will not always tell you the truth. The voice in your head is coded and colored by experiences, just like our little toddler who's growing up. If that toddler grows up in a negative environment, if that toddler grows up in an environment where there's no love or care, if that toddler grows up with a sociopath, that toddler will learn a lot of things in society that are not good. And the voice in their head will tell them a lot of things that are not good. If the parents of the toddler tell the toddler a lot of negative things, and they misuse and abuse the toddler, and they do cause a lot of emotional trauma, all of that will color the voice in the head of that toddler. All of those things will color the voice in the head of that toddler. All of those things will affect that toddler, and it would affect them. I'll share this. Just last week, my son was wanted to go to school. He just started high school, first year of high school, year 7, and he didn't want to go to school that morning. I'm just summarizing this. He was upset, and of course, my wife started investigating. Why are you upset? Why are you upset? What's going on? Apparently, sorry, I just need to switch off this fan. It's getting too cold here. So, apparently, my wife asked him, "Why are you upset this morning?" And he said that in school the day before, the previous day, he was somebody called him the N word. Now, we've never heard of that before. My son is was born in Australia. He's Australian. If he speaks to you on the phone, you would think he's a white boy. So he said somebody called him the N word, and the person who called him the N word was a friend. One of his, in fact, during the school holidays, it was their house. It was at their house about 2 or 3 times to play with them. So we knew this boy. We knew that this boy's parents were good Christian parents. We knew that this white boy was a good boy. Like, he wasn't malicious. All right. Maybe I don't know what happened. I don't know the context. But boys do stupid things. So I wasn't really too, even though I was disappointed that happened, I wasn't too forced about that. But that morning, our son just hit him hard. We knew that he was a sensitive person, and we knew that his love language is words of affirmation. But he slept through it the next day, and my wife wanted to drop him off at the bus, and he was crying. He wouldn't go to school. High schooler. This boy has never said he would never go. Even when he's sick, he would want to go to school. So my wife encouraged him, gave him some words of affirmation, and then he went to school. So she called me. I was actually traveling. So she called me, and so of course I couldn't get hold of him. And so I called the school. I called the principal, the dean of the school, the acting dean. I said, "Hey, this happened the previous day." They were aware of it actually, and they had disciplined the boy. I'm not calling for discipline. I just want you to provide support for my son, and I want you to validate his feelings. He's upset because a close friend of his, did this. All right. But we've told him, and my wife has told him that, listen, you know who you are. You know how blessed you are. So get him, and please make sure you validate his feelings, and don't let him feel bad for being upset. Now, what really caught my attention was that when he woke up at 6 a.m., he went to have a shower. Then he went back to his room. And usually within 10, 15 minutes, he will be out. He would have dressed up. My wife entered the room at 6:30, 30 minutes after. He was just sitting down looking into space. So my 11-year-old now has powerful inner speech, condensed inner speech. And for almost 12 hours since the incident, he had been processing what the N word meant to him, hearing it for the first time from a white person to him. And somehow that affected him that morning. And there he was, and when it affected him, I don't know the conversation he had with himself. But it was certainly not a good conversation because at the end of the day, it was teary and he was anxious about going to school and facing those kids. And of course, we know that we have to process that properly. We've got to talk to him about it. We've got to deal with that properly and validate his feelings and make sure that he understands who he is. That you're beyond your skin color, bro. Now, if that happens to an 11-year-old, how much more an older person? And not just for those of us who are sort of minorities in, like, I don't know. I know there are people who are not, there are people of color here, I'm sure a lot, and there are white people here as well. I'm confident about that. But it's still the same thing. Am I communicating? Am I making sense? Is somebody there? Can you put some comments? I don't know. Is this quiet? Are you getting me? Am I making sense to you guys? Am I making sense to you guys? Team, can you put some comments there? Are people talking? Are people feeling what I'm saying? Thank you. The voice in your head will not always tell us the truth. That's true. That's true. So sometimes the voice in your head, will the voice. Oh my God, the voice in your head is often would amplify things that may not be true. The voice in your head is often shaded or is often filtered by past experience and your own perception, which may the voice in your head may amplify only one side of the story to you. All right, now let me quickly move on because of time. All right, let me move on because we've still got a lot to cover. Herbert Simon is the father of artificial intelligence. This man was one of the pioneers of artificial intelligence. You know what he said? He said, what information consumes is rather obvious. It consumes the attention of its recipients. That's it. Information consumes attention. So a wealth of information creates a poverty of attention. A wealth of information creates a poverty of attention. How can you be wealthy in terms of information and not be poor? Thank you so much for all of those things that you're putting up there. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you, thank you. So, attention. That leads me to attention. Attention is the most essential mental resource of any person, of any organism, of any living thing. Attention determines what aspect of your environment you deal with most times. Attention determines everything. And attention is processed at a subconscious level. Attention determines the kind of choices you make. And for you to make those choices, for you to perceive your world, there are millions of neurons that are working in the background, monitoring your environment to select the important things for you to focus on. That's the way our brains are designed. There's a salient network in your brain that works constantly, trying to choose the things that are really important for you to focus on. Otherwise, you'll be easily distracted. All right. So noise consumes our attention. External noise can amplify the intensity of what's also going on in us. That's the other thing. External noise feeds into the inner noise. I've talked about the voice in your head and how loud the voice in your head can be and how biased the voice in your head can be. The voice in your head can be very biased. But external noise can also amplify that. You've heard of echo chambers. How many times have you felt a way? How many times have you had a feeling? But what do? You go online to search for people who believe what you believe to reinforce what you already know, even if it is wrong. The other day, and I noticed this with me the other day, where my team, Manchester City, I'm not showing our logo there. I've got a logo there behind me. All right, we went to Tottenham Hotspur. Now this is English Premier League. Okay, we went to Tottenham Hotspur and we played a game and we lost the game. Because we lost the game, what do you think I did? I did not go online to check on YouTube all those sports analysts. I just kept quiet. I stayed away because I know we lost. But guess what? The other day we played against Arsenal, and I know some Arsenal fans are here. I apologize that I'm bringing that up. Okay, we won. Do you know what I was doing subconsciously? I just found myself on YouTube listening to a lot of all these YouTube podcasts, ESPN, all of that, talking about how great we were, because I was trying to validate my feelings. If you were a Donald Trump supporter, you were more likely to listen to news networks like Fox News that support Donald Trump, because you want to revalidate your feelings. And if you hated Donald Trump, you would certainly not be watching Fox News. You'll be on CNN or MSNBC or somewhere else trying to validate exactly what you already know. So external noise validates or amplifies the intensity of what's already going on the inside of us. And if it's biased, then it's sorry. All right, that happens a lot. All right. Noise makes a claim on our consciousness. Noise colonizes our pristine attention. Noise makes it harder for us to focus. We've not even talked about silence. And guys, bear with me, bear with me. Noise makes it harder for us to focus. Noise manages our mind's impulses. It stops our minds from noticing, appreciating the space of silence. Noise consumes our attention. Noise feeds on our attention. Noise. Let me read a few comments there. Please put some of the comments there. Let me just acknowledge people. I know you are communicating with me, so I want that feedback to be there. Thank you so much, Dr. Oh, Dr. Chi. No, put Dr. Chi back there. No, I need to read Dr. Chi's. Yeah, the voice in your head may be externally supplied by your friends. Thank you. Correct. Correct. Keep going, keep going, keep going. Yes, Mr. Sola, but the noise makes it harder for us to focus. That's true. That's true. The purpose midwife. Come on, let's keep the comments going. I just want to read a few comments. Noise colonizes our attention. Yes, I just said that. Noise colonizes our attention. More. Let's make it faster. Who is, yes, switching this? Yes, this is 100%. I always wonder how people manage to read a book with loud music on. Oh, yeah, we'll come to that. We'll come to that. We'll come to what noise is and what noise is not. Not every sound is noise. We'll come to that. Not every sound is noise. External noise amplifies internal noise. Thank you so much, Jimmy Tope. Attention is one of our greatest resources. My Percy, hey, this woman is my woman. Mrs. Abiola Ishola, attention is one of our greatest resources. Absolutely. Esther says external noise validates what is going on the inside of us. That's true. Now let me get on with this. Yeah, Lara says attention is a very great asset. Now let me move on quickly. All right. So where did I stop? Now let's move on to the negative effects of noise. And then I will pivot to silence. The negative. Stay with me, guys. Stay with me. Don't leave. Don't be distracted. Stay with me. Don't yield to the temptation. Don't let your mind wander away. Stay with me. Stay with me. Stay with me. People on Instagram, I'm sorry that I'm focused on those that are on YouTube right now. But stay with me. I hope you're getting, you're getting it. So I've got a few people on Instagram as well. Thank you so much for connecting with me, guys. All right. So the negative effects of noise. Let's look at the negative effects of noise. All right. In our modern society, we are addicted to noise. There's a noise addiction. Our modern society is addicted to noise. And you know what? We don't just tolerate maximum noise production, we celebrate noise. One of the biggest problems we have in society is that the configuration of our society is such that noisemakers are celebrities. Noisemakers are celebrated. Noisemakers are the ones that get the most attention. In fact, if you want to get attention, make noise. Go and ask Kim Kardashian. The other day, I was watching a documentary about them, about their dynasty, their billion-dollar dynasty. And what you find is an intentional strategy to hijack the attention of the population by scandals. Anything that is scandalous will be sort of glorified in a way that would attract, as long as you're talking about them. And guess what we do? We talk about them. How many times have you? There's a show in Australia called Married at First Sight. I don't know whether it's in other places, parts of the world. I assume so. But you get to work and people are talking about this show. You among friends, people are talking about, and you know what? They talk about it in a very derogatory way, but they still watch it. Oh, did you watch that show? Oh my God, it's horrible and blah blah blah. But that's what they want. The creators of the show did not create good content. It's not good content. It's not something that you will subscribe to. All right, it's not good content. It's not a content that you push or that you sponsor. They did design it for the content, but they've created this scandal. Oh my God, sorry. Somebody's calling me on WhatsApp. Um, they've designed this content to annoy. They've designed this content to create noise, and it's so popular. We're addicted to noise. All right, let me move on. Why do we create more noise? We create more noise because we don't count the cost. I've told you already that yes, information and technology has been a blessing to us. We're more connected than ever. I'm in Australia here, and I have people in Canada. Look at how far away we are, how far apart we are. But we're connected right now in real time. Information has been a big blessing to us, but it's also brought a lot of challenges, and we have to deal with this. We need to count the cost of our attention. Why are we addicted to noise? We're addicted to noise because we're addicted to convenience. Dr. Sam says WhatsApp noise. Yeah, absolutely. You know, some of those WhatsApp groups that you just have to mute. Some of them you cannot leave them because one day you may get some gold nugget from them, but you just mute them. I'm telling you the truth. You cannot be everywhere. You cannot be a superstar. Your brain is limited. You cannot be everywhere. You cannot. Oh, Dr. Sam, I hail you. Our addiction to noise comes from our addiction to convenience. We want it easy, and sometimes the easiest route is the noisiest route. Even mentally, the easiest route is the noisiest route. And our addiction to convenience is what drives this. Look at what Cal Newport said, the author of Deep Work. He said, group emails. This is just a comment about group emails. How many of you get group emails here? You know what I'm talking about, group emails. Everybody's inundated with group emails. That whole design and technology around group emails. Group emails might cost a small to medium-sized company tens of thousands of employee hours of valuable thought and attention annually. But we don't care about group emails. Do we care? We don't care because we assume that they make it more convenient for us to access information. How many times do you get a group email that is irrelevant to you? In the past, when there were no group emails, the sender would choose because the sender knows how hard it is to send an email, to type out the individual emails. So you get the email addresses. I'm also guilty of that sometimes. Some of you are on my mailing list, and then I send out my inspirational newsletters, and some people will write back and say, hey, please, I'm like, oh, it's good content. No, I've got enough. I don't need this in my life right now. So we take you out of our email list. But it is true that our addiction to convenience creates more noise. But the question is, at what cost? What are we giving away? We're addicted to convenience, and convenience robs us of our attention. Have you paused to consider the toll that excessive mental stimulation exerts on your psyche? We're in an attention economy, and the focus of the world, the global focus, is to bombard our attention more and more. Whether you're receiving robocalls on the phone, how many times do you get a phone call from India, from the Philippines, from Vietnam about somebody wanting to sell you a product? What about website banners? What about the cookies that run in our website browsers, or the in your face advertising we get over and over again? Your attention is your most prized asset. Some of you don't know that. Your attention is your most prized asset. We're in an attention economy. The brands that can hijack your attention, in the words of Kule Shoriyo, the brands that can rent a space in your brain for free are the ones that thrive, because we live in an economy that is built on noise. Our GDP is built on noise. The bigger brands make more noise. You watch the Super Bowl, you watch the Super Bowl ads, and look at the noise. Look at how much they're spending, getting celebrities and all sorts to create those ads. They want to hijack your attention. It's because they need to make noise. They need to spend millions and millions of dollars to hijack your attention. And the algorithms on Facebook, on Instagram, on TikTok, all of those things are designed not to make you feel good, not to make you more connected, not to make you more informed, not to make you more rounded, not to make you, psychologically or spiritually or mentally robust. No, they're just meant to hijack your attention, your most prized possession. And whatever the cost is, they don't care. Do you think Mark Zuckerberg cares about what you miss out of? Do you think that the owners of Google and all that care about what the price you pay? There's a price you're paying every time you respond to that text message. There's a price you pay every time you spend 2-3 hours on Instagram without any intention, without just browsing and browsing, just allowing yourself to just fly and swim in the ocean of uninhibited social media experience. There's a price you're paying, and you may not be aware of that because it's not in your face. We're exposed to more information, but we're not more grounded. We're exposed to more information, but we're not more robust psychologically, mentally. We're exposed to so much information, yet we're still having lots of young people committing suicide every day. In Australia and New Zealand probably has the highest suicide rate in the world. Still is one of the most connected countries. Their internet, their connections and all of that is probably one of the best in the world. Fiber to homes, almost every home. And still yet people are still alone. Thousands of friends we have, but those friends are so distant to us. Look at this. This was a peer-reviewed study, and I put it there. This is my handwritten note. Sorry, this is my writing. I'm sorry if you cannot read it. I'm reading it, as well. This is in a peer-reviewed study. The mere presence of a smartphone in a room, and the smartphone was turned off and face down, it drained people's working memory and problem-solving capacity. You know what they did? They got a few executives in a room to solve some problems, creative problems. And they were all doing it without technology. But the investigators then took a phone, they just put on the table on the front. The phone was switched off and was put face down. Immediately they did that, they realized that their creative and cognitive capacity just dropped down. Because people, the voice in the head, oh, well, why am I thinking and brainstorming? I can just take that phone. Can we use the phone? Can we use the phone? Maybe I'll just Google. How many times have you gone through the easy road? Convenience, addiction to convenience. You went on Google. And of course, when you Googled it, what did you find? You found something you should not have found. And then you ended up spending 30 minutes watching something else, listening to news about Iraq or Russia, Ukraine. When you went to Google, you were going to Google to search for a paper, a research paper. But the easy way out sometimes is the noisiest way, is what I'm saying. I hope I'm connecting with you guys. I hope you're understanding me. Our addiction to convenience is feeding our addiction to noise. Now let's quickly look at some of the negative effects of noise, then we go to silence. Noise affects our health. Noise affects our attention. Noise affects our psychology. All right, let me just quickly tell you something about a little bit of science here of sound, the science of sound. When sound waves hit your eardrums, you see the sound waves go in, they hit your eardrum here. All right, and then from that moment, they cause vibration in the bones of the inner ear, and that causes waves to spread into your cochlea. The cochlea is this round, circular, spiral-shaped cavity within the ear. Once that happens, some ear-like structures within the cochlea convert the sound waves. They convert them to electrical signals, which then go they now go. Oh, somebody is talking about ChatGPT. I'll come back to ChatGPT now. Oh my God, that's a whole new world, ChatGPT. Now, don't get, whoever put that there now, you distracted me. That's noise. Let me get back to what I was saying. I was talking about the physiology of hearing. Okay, sound waves hit the eardrums. They then are converted. They cause vibration in the inner ear bones. Those bones then cause sound transmission to the spiral-shaped cavity of the cochlea, and then within the cochlea, the cochlea converts the sound waves to electrical signals. Those electrical signals then go into your brain, and then your brain, the particular part of the brain is the auditory cortex. That's where it ends, and the auditory cortex now gives meaning to those sounds. So you're listening to me right now, and that's what you're listening to. So every word that comes out of my mouth comes as sound waves. It's converted by your cochlea to electrical signals. All right. Sorry, it's converted by your eardrums to mechanical waves, and then your cochlea converts the mechanical waves to electrical signals that go into your cortex. So your brain can now make sense of the sounds that come as electrical signals. Now, when that happens as well, there's a part of the brain that also receives the same signal that goes to your auditory cortex that tries to make meaning of the sounds. That same signal goes to another structure in the brain called the amygdala. And some of you would have heard about the amygdala. It's a small almond-shaped cluster of neurons that forms the biological basis of our emotional lives. The amygdala is the emotional generator of our brains. So every time you hear sound, the sound also connects with your amygdala. That's why you can be emotionally connected to somebody while listening to them. How many times have you seen a bad boy behave badly over and over again, but every time he goes to the girl and says, "Hey, darling," and he talks in a particular way, the lady that's been like, "You know what, I'm going to break this relationship," she'll just calm down. Because you know what, the sound waves are going at a particular frequency and tone that is making contact with the amygdala and generating some positive emotions of affection and triggering some old memories and stuff like that. On the other hand, if you see somebody scream at you, some of you are here, you know what a bullet sounds like. If you hear a bullet, boom, even without knowing where the bullet is from, that sound travels with so much ferocity, it eats your amygdala. Your amygdala connects with your long-term memory, your hippocampus, and some of your long-term memory stores, and it compares that sound. It says, "Wow, this sounds like a bullet." The amygdala will just release a lot of negative emotions of fear. You get a lot of stress hormones, cortisol, and adrenaline. Your muscles will jump. You will not know where you run 100 kilometers because of something you thought was a gun shot. Maybe it was just a balloon popping or fireworks. So our sounds, the external sounds that we hear, are connected to our emotions, are connected to the emotional generator. So what you hear, to a large extent, will determine how you feel. So And it's very important for you to understand this now. I'm talking about the negative effects of noise. And I'm not even going to talk about deafness for those who are exposed to high noise, high levels of noise, industrial noise, occupational exposure to noise. I'm not even talking about that now. But what I'm saying is that what you hear, what you listen to, what you allow to permeate into your space to a large extent can affect the way you feel. Your hearing can affect your feeling. And even for those who are Christians, who are people of faith, you know that scripture that says faith comes by hearing. All right. There's something that happens on the depth, in the depth of your emotions. How many times have you listened to a horrible song played over and over and over again? And somehow, even though you were not singing it, it was just in the background. Moments later, you start repeating the lyrics. Has that happened to you before? You just start repeating the lyrics. It just starts playing in your mind. Because every time those lyrics hit your sound waves, they don't just go to your cortex to get meaning. And yeah, they may go to your cortex and you feel, oh, this means nothing. This is a bad song. So you ignore it. But let me tell you, at a subconscious level, it also goes to your amygdala. And when it goes to your amygdala, it doesn't go with announcement. Your cortex tells you it's nothing. Yeah, this is a bad song. Oh, no, this is a horrible song, blah, blah, blah. So you dismiss it. But continuous exposure to it will keep triggering your amygdala and start altering some of those emotional states that you're there. That's why some people, I go to the gym, and when I get to the gym, I see all of these guys who are lifting heavy weights. All of them have headphones on. One day I was talking to my trainer, and I was like, okay, why is there music in the gym? Why is it always loud and everything? And the kind of songs you hear in the gym, you don't hear rhythm and blues. You hear, hardcore stuff. Sometimes it's rock and hard rock and metal and stuff like that. All right? Because you're trying to create an internal atmosphere. Let me move now because of the interest of time. In the interest of time, let me move. So, let me tell you something about your hearing and communication. You see, when you are calm, I was talking about the ear muscles in the ear, the muscles in the ear. When you are calm, the tiny little ear muscles become activated. And those tiny ear muscles, they play a particular role. They help us tune into mid-range frequencies like the human voice. The human voice is at mid-range frequency, about 50 to 60 decibels. When you're in a calm state, your ear muscles actually relax so you can listen, you can hear people. That's what happens. When you are calm, your ear muscles, there's a physiology. It's not just about attention. I'm not talking about attention. You're calm, all right? Your ear muscles will relax, and so you can pick up the mid-range frequencies where the band where the human ear is. But when you're stressed, the tiny muscles become deactivated. So what you hear at the lower frequencies, like those of predators, or higher frequencies like that of a screaming person. So when you are in an argument, no wonder you don't hear the person you're arguing with, especially if they are talking in mid-range frequency, because your ears are physiologically tuned out. I'm not sure whether somebody's listening to me and connecting with it right now. When you are calm, all right, your tiny ear muscles are activated, so that allows you to tune into mid-range frequencies. That way you can listen to a human voice and receive a lot of what they're saying. But when you are stressed, those muscles are deactivated. So you hear more of the higher and the lower frequencies. All right. Um, Sorry, somebody's saying there's no sound on Instagram. I'm not sure why there's no sound on Instagram. So Instagram people, I'm sorry if you can't hear me. Please just move on to YouTube. Me, but on YouTube, okay? You'll be able to hear me there. All the people on YouTube can hear me. All right. So let me move on. All right. So mid-range frequencies become harder to hear. We stop hearing one another. That's what happens when you're in an argument. Has it happened to you before? It's happened to me before, where maybe I'm having an argument with my wife. I'll be like, I told you so. When did you tell me? You did not tell me. I said it. I told you. You did not tell me. No, I told you. You did not tell me. I told you that. Oh, okay. Well, she probably told me, but because I was stressed, and it may not be even in an argument, it may be that I'm stressed about other things. When you're stressed, you stop hearing physiologically. A lot of this, or a lot of what people are saying, actually does not even register. It doesn't even get into your brain. It's not about attention. It's not. You don't even receive it. Your ear cannot even receive it. Your ear is not tuned in to hear when you're stressed. All right, let me move on now. But noise itself can create a lot of stress. Noise itself can create a lot of stress. Noise itself can do, look at all the kind of things the noise does. Because when there's constant exposure to noise, especially when it's harmful, it can stimulate the amygdala to produce a lot of stress hormones. And so you can have a lot of health problems from a constant exposure to noise, particularly external noise that is not helpful. Look at this. Some of the examples of the things we're talking about. Noise can cause hearing impairment. It can lead to annoyance and just being frustrated and miserable. And you see people in cities. Why are the noisiest cities are often not the best places to live? If you go watch ratings of, you know, those studies of the best places to live, they're often not the noisiest cities because people there are just miserable, they are cranky, they're happy. Traffic, there's too much traffic, there's too much confusion on the road, it's just too noisy. Noise can lead to heart disease and stroke and other cardiovascular diseases. Noise can lead to depression. Noise can cause sleep disturbances. Noise can cause cognitive impairment, and cognitive impairment, particularly in children. I was really fascinated when I read a study that was conducted by this amazing woman, Aline Bronszaft. Aline Bronszaft is an environmental psychologist in the United States, and this was in New York. So what she did was to study the impact of noise on children in Manhattan. So she went to a school in Manhattan, and what she noticed was that one half of the school, one classroom actually within the school, within middle school, their class was situated next to the subway. So every time the trains move, and the trains, you can imagine the New York trains are always going on and on and on. Every time the train moves around, they get so much noise, so much noise exposure um, for those students. So, but the other students on the other side of the block were not exposed to that much, to so much noise. So what she did was to look at their cognitive abilities, and what she found was that the students that were in the classroom close to the subway were about a year behind cognitively, academically, when compared to those students in the same class. Like when I'm in the same class, now the same year, they were in the same year, but their classrooms, just because of the constant exposure to noise of the subway. And it's not just about the annoyance that comes from the loud noise of the subway, it's the distraction. The fact that a child is trying to learn and they hear a loud noise of the subway and then their mind wanders away. And their mind wanders away, and the teacher is trying to talk to them, but their mind wanders away, and they start thinking about the subway. And kids who have learned to internalize external speech. We talked about external speech and then internalizing it. Once they internalize external speech, kids are great with their imaginations. Kids can daydream, and so they may be in class listening to the teacher, but their minds have gone far away because of the distraction. So the academic performance just goes down and down. I just want to end the IG live because I think there's some technical issues on Instagram, so I'll just end the IG live now. All right. Thank you so much for those who have switched over. Hopefully, they've switched over here. All right. So noise affects. Let me tell you this. The other day, my son was in the shower, and I went in there because he was spending too much time in the shower. When I got into the shower, I was surprised that I saw him just staring at the ceiling, and hot water was running. Hot water was running. I was concerned about the hot water and the bills that will come at the end of the month. It's like, hey, bro, what are you doing? You're wasting money. You spent almost 20 minutes here, not a single drop of water on you. You're just there enjoying the steam. Get up. So he quickly did his thing and went out. So on the way to school, I was dropping him off at school. And I asked him, I said, what were you thinking about? Because when I saw him, he was smiling. Like, imagine a 10-year-old just smiling, looking at the ceiling, smiling. I was like, has this guy won the jackpot? Is there something happening? Oh, a 10-year-old, let me quickly investigate him. I hope nothing is happening in school or what's up. Like, you're smiling, just staring at the ceiling. My boy said, hey, Dad, I was just imagining being a Japanese ninja. Japanese ninja? Yeah. You're a black boy. You've got no Japanese genes in you. So no, I was just imagining being a Japanese ninja. And I knew it felt good for him. It was just, thoughts are limitless. I don't want to talk about thoughts now, but thoughts thoughts are a form of inner speech. And you can imagine the movie. For those 10, 15 minutes while he was there, he had drawn out a movie of becoming a Japanese ninja, fighting a superhero, destroying. If you write that out, you can imagine the volume of words that have been condensed into that visual thought. Visual thoughts are imaginations, by the way. Amazing. So kids have the ability to just move on and on and on. Wow. Let me just quickly rush because of time. My team, I'm sure my team, they're like, hey, Doc, round up, round up, round up. So noise leads to goal interference, and it's difficult to find focused attention when your mind is just going on and on and on. I've written the social media notification commandeers your attention just as a friend is sharing some difficult news. Have you found that happening to you? Where somebody's talking to you about something important, then you just get a notification and you sometimes yield to the temptation of looking at your phone and you lose that moment. Or the other example I put there is you watching your child's school performance, and then your mind just wanders away. Or maybe you're there listening to this webinar, something so powerful and profound, and then you just remember something that happened yesterday, and your mind wanders away to that unresolved conflict during that priceless moment. So you miss it. There are a lot of moments we miss because of our minds, because of the way we allow noise to interfere. So understanding and realizing our goals is only possible when we reduce noise, when we learn to manage noise. Let me just rush because of time. Let me tell you, this is one of the most powerful inventions ever. The most powerful inventions ever is the like button. The like button is one of history's most craftiest way, or history's craftiest means of hijacking the dopamine receptors and human consciousness. Facebook designed the like button. There was nothing like a like button on anything before. But when they released the like button in 2009, that changed our world. And someday, somehow, we will talk about the like button. I'm telling you the truth. We will talk about the like button. By the way, on this note, make sure you like this video, okay? Because even though the like button has done a lot of stuff, you got to still like this video on Instagram, okay? Or sorry, on YouTube. So if you're watching this YouTube video, like it so that other people can see it. That's the way YouTube algorithm works. I was reading this study that a third of people between 18 and 44-year-old feel anxious if they haven't checked Facebook within 2 hours. There's a psychological dependency on Facebook that correlated with a reduction in the brain gray matter volume. Amazing study, amazing. Now, let me quickly move on to this. So, we're getting into silence now. Silence. So, let's just reflect on silence. Now, this man is an amazing man, John Cage. John Cage is a famous American composer of music, and he composed this musical piece called 433. And it's an amazing type of music. So the day he launched 433, John Cage went to a concert to play, to perform. It was an outdoor concert. Everybody was there to enjoy John Cage's performance. But for 4 minutes and 33 seconds, which was the duration of that musical piece, John Cage did nothing. Apparently, this musical piece, 433, consists of nothing but rest. You can see just empty lines. The aim of that musical piece was to bring people into conscious awareness of their surroundings. Do you know that during that concert, as they were waiting for John Cage to play his piano, and every little sound in the audience became obvious? The person who coughed, the person who belched, the birds that were chirping in the sky, the wind that was blowing, people became conscious and aware of their surroundings. A lot of sometimes when we're silent, we will perceive our environment more. We will hear ourselves more. We'll be able to hear and listen to our own selves more. We'll understand our world better. And that was what John Cage was teaching. So when John Cage was asked, what was your inspiration behind this piece, 433? You know what he said? He said that he went to Harvard University, and in Harvard University at the time, they had what they call an anechoic chamber, a soundless chamber. Anechoic, no echo, anechoic chamber, soundless chamber. It was developed during World War II to train pilots and train, NASA people, astronauts, and all that. So he said he went in there. It was supposed to be soundless. When he got in there, he was hearing sounds. So he was wondering, how can I be hearing sounds in a soundless chamber? He heard two sounds. One was high frequency, one was low frequency. When he came out, the instructor told him that high frequency sound you were hearing was the sound of your brain. Wow. So I can hear my brain. Yes, it's your brain, the activity of your brain and your nervous system was a high frequency sound. The low frequency sound you heard was your blood circulation. Wow. So I can actually hear blood flow through my veins. Yes, you can. If you learn to listen to if you're in a silent chamber. So even though it was in a silent chamber where there was no noise, it could still hear some sounds. Listen to me. Silence is not a total absence of sound or thought. Silence is the absence of noise. Silence is not the absence of sound. Silence is the absence of noise. And I'll go into that shortly. Look at this place. This is the quietest place on earth. It's an anechoic chamber built by Microsoft. Minus 20 decibels is the sound rating here. In this chamber here, if you enter this soundproof chamber with wedge-shaped structures on the floor, mesh material on the floor, sound wedge-shaped structures on the wall, fully solidly soundproof. What you will hear is your body. You will hear the sound of your body. You will hear your own breath. You will hear your heart beating. You will hear blood flowing through your veins. You will hear your pulse. You will hear bones rubbing against each other. You will hear your skin sliding over your muscles. You will hear your tendons, your organs. You will hear yourself. And these are the things we don't naturally hear. And that can be quite confronting. Do you know that nobody has been able to stay in this chamber for more than an hour? No human being. Most people within 10, 15 minutes, they freak out. Nobody has been able to stay in this chamber for more than an hour because our nervous system is used to sensation. So when you are in a place of sensory deprivation where you can't feel anything, you can't hear anything, and all you can hear is just your internal processes, it can freak you out. And in fact, some people have been said to have hallucinations. Thank you so much, Ola. Silence is not the absence of sound. Silence is the absence of noise. So even in anechoic chambers, scientifically, you can still hear sound. Look at this. All right, look at this. Can we just take this comment off? I'm sorry, I can show the screen. Yeah, thank you, Dr. Sam. All right, just take this comment off. All right, look at sound intensity here. All right, so when we have normal conversations, it's about 60 decibels. This chamber is minus 20 decibels. Very low, but it's nothing. It's not nothing. All right, now let me move on to silence as I round up. Silence. Silence. So silence is not the total absence of sound or thought. Silence is the absence of noise. Silence is that place where we listen, where we learn to see, we perceive our world, where we have clarity about our world. Silence is clarity. Silence is a place where we're not caught up in our own experiences. That's silence. 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 And you know, the interesting thing is that, and a researcher called Shaw demonstrated that the neurons in the brain that are dedicated to silence are distinct from the neurons in the brain that deal with sound. I've talked to you about how sound gets into the brain and goes to the auditory cortex. Those neurons are completely different from the neurons that are dedicated to silence. So silence itself can exist in the midst of sound. But silence cannot tolerate noise, just like light cannot tolerate darkness. So silence is not conceptualized by the cancellation of sound. In fact, you can be in extreme silence and still have sound. Just like those chambers where people, it's a completely noiseless, soundless chamber, but people can still hear something. They can still hear their own organs beating. So can we live in a world where there's absolutely no sound? No. But can you create a world for yourself where noise, the volume of the noise is dialed down so that you can hear properly, you can feel, you can listen, you can get clarity of purpose, you can have a clear mind? Yes, you can. And that's what I'll be talking about in the next few slides. In order to talk about this, you need to understand the way your attention is distributed. There are two ways attention is distributed. There's the top-down allocation of attention, and there's the bottom-up allocation of attention. The top-down allocation of attention is the one that is goal-directed. So let's say you have a goal. Your goal this year is to lose weight. You want to lose 10 kilograms in the first 3 months of the year. You go to the gym, you join you get a gym membership, or you get a personal trainer. That's your goal. What happens once you decide that goal is that your brain, a part of the brain called the locus cerebrus, releases adrenaline into your brain that improves your alertness and awareness for that goal. So that all the attentional resources, or most of the attentional resources that you have in your brain, are diverted towards that goal. Very quickly, you realize that if your goal is to lose weight, when you scroll online, you'll be finding things that have to do with weight loss, not based on algorithm. I'm not talking about Facebook algorithm or Google algorithm. It just pops out to you more. You see people who are going through weight loss, similar weight loss journeys to you. You'll become more in tune with that. You'll be more attracted to people who have the same goals. You will perceive them more. That is your brain's filtering out all those things that are not necessary and bringing into your perception the things that are necessary for your goal. It's not that you've not been seeing all those people that are losing weight and all those programs before online. You've been seeing them, but you were not paying attention to them. So they didn't even exist to you. But once you've decided that you want to lose weight and that's the goal, your brain tells your prefrontal cortex, actually, that's the part of the brain, tells the rest of the brain that, hey, Nigi's goal is to lose weight. So let's start selecting weight loss plans, weight loss strategies, anything that has to do with weight loss. So when anything that from my sensation, from my sight, from my hearing, anything that has to do with weight loss is registers more in my brain. So I focus more on it. It hijacks my focus. But the problem is that sometimes bottom up attention can still come. That's environmentally induced attention. That's the attention that comes from my environment. All right. And so even though my goal is to lose weight and I'm working towards that, but I attend a party, and in that party, they serve jollof rice, Nigerian jollof rice for my Ghanaian friends. They serve nice jollof rice, which is not in my dietary plan. But that hijacks my attention. The smell, and you know those party rice. You know when you go for the party, the ones. Oh my god, you know it hijacks. The smell is so intense, and then you look at it. It looks well prepared. Oh my god, it hijacks your attention, bottom up attention, and it distracts you from your goal. It takes space, and that's where noise comes from. Noise takes over. Noise gets into our focus through, not from the top, from the bottom. Just imagine driving down a road and your goal is to drive to work. So you're driving down the road. All right. As you're driving down, you want to turn to your right. You want to take a right turn. That's your plan because that's your detour. But whilst just before you taking the turn, that top down goal is to drive to work, take a turn. But there's bottom up interference. A text message comes in. Boom. You didn't even touch the text. You didn't touch your phone. You did not touch your phone. But you were just thinking about the text. Oh, what could that be? Oh, could that be my wife? Oh, what could that be? What could be happening? Just by ruminating over that, you miss your turn. That's interference. How many times have you missed your turn just because you were lost in thought? That's bottom up interference. Because your goal would have been to stop somewhere. So, very important. Silence. Silence is golden. I like this study, and that's why I put the study there for reference. This is science-based. What I'm teaching is evidence-based. I'm not teaching refired or inspired or whatever. This is not motivation. This is science. The science of silence. So you can get this video later on YouTube. Go read this article by M.K. Christie. It was published in 2015. Powerful article on the impact of silence on the brain. All right. So what did this person do? So Imker, what they did was they're based in Duke University in the United States. What they did was to get some mice. I don't know how many mice, maybe about 20 or 30 mice. They put them in a soundless chamber, an anechoic chamber. So for 2 hours, these mice were not exposed to sound. No sound for the mice. All right. Imagine just taking mice, putting them in a chamber. Of course, they'll be rattled, maybe. So for 2 hours, these mice were not exposed to any noise. They did not hear anything. All right. And then what happened? They exposed them to white noise. And then after a while, they exposed them to the poppy sounds, the pop sounds of mice, baby mice sounds. Then they played Mozart sonata. Then they exposed them to ambient noise. And finally, silence. So after doing that, exposing them to these 5 different sounds, they wanted to find out which of these sounds caused the most intense arousal of the brain. And did it change their brain at all? Did it lead to any change in their brain? Well, you guessed it. They were thinking that the mice pop sounds, the noise of a baby crying to a mom, how that can be emotive. They were thinking that would be the most arousing sound, but they were shocked when they realized that silence actually produced more of that. Silence produced the strongest response from the mice. Silence produced, and in fact, what they found when they checked the brains of the mouse was that silence activated the auditory cortex, and silence also caused production of new brain cells in the memory areas. So those mice were more eager, willing to learn in silence. Their hippocampus, their memory centers were regenerating and producing new cells. So silence is so powerful. This is very great research to look at the power of silence. Silence improves performance. I to teach peak performance. And silence lifts peak performance. Silence creates stress. So let me explain to you this. Silence is not relaxation. Understand this. I know some people are dropping off. It's okay. Stay with me. For those of you who are here, stay with me, because you can imagine somebody coming to the doctor saying, I have a headache, I have this, I have that, thank you, and they go. Listen, you've stayed with me for over an hour, almost 1.5 hours now, and we've talked about the problem. Don't you want the solution? So please don't leave this webinar without your prescription. Okay? Don't leave without the prescription, and don't come back for it. Get it right now, real time. Silence lifts performance. Silence does that. Why? Because silence enhances your arousal stress. Silence is not mental relaxation. Some people think silence is just a passive thing. Silence in itself is not passive. Silence is an active process. Silence arouses the brain. Silence activates the brain. It arouses the brain. It stimulates your brain. By creating a place of silence, you're actually activating the arousal networks of your brain so that you can perceive more, you can hear more. Whether if you're a spiritual person, for example, and you want to hear God more, yes, it's in silence. Because when you do that, your sensations, your senses become your spiritual senses become more tuned up. Silence is that place where you can get revelation, you can get inspiration, you can generate insights. So we cannot overemphasize the role of silence in performance. Okay, so silence improves alertness and perception and awareness. It makes you more alert. It makes you perceive environment more. Silence improves learning and memory. Silence helps to regulate stress. Silence helps to generate insights, and silence improves peak performance. Silence. If you have any peak performance protocol that you are executing, you must incorporate silence into every protocol. Power of silence is not just from relaxation. Silence was the most arousing for the mice. It improved their alertness, their perception, and their awareness. Listening to silence is an active process. It generates arousal stress and improves performance. Listening to silence, because silence is not the absence of sound. There's sound in silence, the sound of silence. The state of inner silence, listen, is not the loss of self consciousness. These are my notes. It's not the loss of self or the loss of consciousness. It's an inner quiet, a place where we stop talking to ourselves about ourselves. And that negative self ruminative talk dies down. Silence. Why do we talk about it to ourselves? And that voice in our head that keeps talking to ourselves, the voice in our head, we call it the default mode network. We keep talking to ourselves. We talk to ourselves over and over again. You see, when you're relaxed, the default mode network, when you're quiet, is active. So for a lot of people that think silence is just going to a room, you can go to a room and just your brain is just fizzling away and you're daydreaming and you're even more active than when you're talking to somebody. The default mode network, which is highlighted in this image, is that part of the brain that is active when you're not focused on an action. So when you're at rest, the default mode network is active. It's responsible for your self ego. It's what the scientists call your me network. This is your me network. It's about you. It's about worry, rumination, self-narration, self-importance. You know what happens when somebody this is you, or maybe embarrasses you out, in the public or somewhere. Then you get to the toilet. You're in the toilet like me, me. Can you imagine? You're talking to yourself. It's dialogue, inner dialogue. Can you imagine? That's your default mode network. Hey, of course I'm acting it out for you. You know I'm an actor. Hey, can you imagine me? Do you know who I am? Do you know who I am? Unbelievable. That's your default mode network talking. All right. It's self-narration, self-importance, it's all about your self-consciousness. All right. and it can get in the way. I'm telling you the truth. It is negatively correlated to attention. When you go into that spiral of not learning to silence your default mode network, I just have to rush on because of time. Let me just go here. Default mode network is negatively correlated with attention. When that default mode network is firing, your attention drops down. It's a seesaw. Sorry, I've just missed that now. Let me just quickly go. Yeah, so it's a seesaw. The default mode network is negatively correlated with your attention. So when your mind is going blah 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 about yourself and you're ruminating about it, why do you replay the story over and over again? Yes, you messed up, but must you replay it 10 times? Have you not wondered why do you keep repeating the story over and over again? Sometimes it's to just reframe the context. Sometimes it's to improve your own self-importance. That's an attitude that you may have to stop. All right. There's no mute button for the mind. But by working on your default mode network, you can dial down the noise. So quickly, how do you silence? How do you generate silence? Well, first of all, you can create silence in your external world. And you can do that by, you know, simple things, going to a quiet place. Just imagine going to the countryside, just going away for a while and just refreshing yourself. Or maybe you can just wake up very early in the morning and you can imagine the stillness and the calmness of the early hours of the day. So that means that even though we're in a very noisy world, we can still do a few things to create external silence. What about your room? You want to, oh yeah, I want to have inner quiet, but your room is a mess. What about the simplicity of a clean and clear room? Silence. All right. So that's something you should do. Number two, the silence of the inner world, You see, even so when you're, as I said earlier, when your environment is calm and your body is motionless, the sound of your mind can still be deafening. So that's why you need to train your mind. This is not going to happen like this. The solutions I'm giving you are not solutions that will come naturally. They are solutions that will require effort. So if you're not willing to come with me on the journey of applying effort, forget it. This is not going to work for you. If you want a quick fix, you want convenient. Addiction to convenience is addiction to noise. You want an easy way to deal with that, the voice in your head that is going so loud and cannot make you focus or concentrate on anything, and those negative thoughts in your brain, it's going to require a bit of training, unfortunately. There's no quick fix here. I don't have a pill for you that would make you go away. And I'm not going to lay my hands on you and pray for you and your brain will be that. If anybody tells you that they will pray for you and all of those negative thoughts and everything will go away, they are joking. It's a lie. Someone said, I think it was Eden that said that any theology that absorbs you of your personal responsibility is a fraud. I'll say that again. Eden Owunka said this. Any theology that absorbs you of personal responsibility is a fraud. Any theology, any philosophy, any teaching that absorbs you of personal responsibility is a fraud. Run away from it, even if they give you money or even if they ask you for money. All right. So there's a bit of training that is involved. So, what is my strategy? This is my strategy. And this is, I think, my last slide. This is my strategy. Dial down the noise. Number one, decide. Decide to change. It starts with intentionality. In fact, there's a study there that I did not put up about intention. You need to make a decision today that I'm not going to live this noisy life. I'm not going to tolerate inner noise. Why should you tolerate inner noise? I'm asking you, why should your life be so cluttered with so much stuff you do not need? How many emails do you need? How many accounts do you need? How many Facebook accounts do you have? How many notifications do you have? When it's not your job, if you were a digital marketer, I would understand. Why do you have all these devices? Why do you have all these accounts? Have you done an audit of all your subscriptions? Do you really need to subscribe to every newspaper, New York Times, Washington Post, and you're getting alerts from BBC, ABC, Al Jazeera, everything? Only you, for that small brain of yours. Are you going to solve all the world's problem? Are you the God of this world? What has every crisis in the world got to do with you? Yes, we know there's a earthquake in Turkey and Syria, and we feel bad for those people, and we send our condolences to those that have lost their lives. But what are you going to do? Are you going to go there and solve the problems for the people in Turkey and Syria? Why do you keep making yourself vulnerable and allowing yourself to be exposed to so much noise you do not need? Must you be in every WhatsApp group? Must you be active in every WhatsApp group? Must you comment on everything, on every post? Must you be there? Decide to change. You are losing something.
You think you're popular on Facebook because you have hundred. Let me tell you, a lot of all those people that have hundreds of thousands of friends, you think they're happy? They may make money, but do you think is it about money? Is it about money? Influencer, what? What are you influencing? You are influencing people, but you are not happy. You are influencing people, but you are sad. You are influencing people, but you are miserable. You know, somebody the other day was telling me somebody went was some, and she may be here. I apologize for using this illustration, but of course it's de-identified. She was telling me that she was coaching somebody and counseling somebody who was having a family marital issue. This was somebody, the person that was having a marital issue was very popular on Instagram, has thousands of followers, maybe tens of thousands of followers on Instagram. And the night before, she was still doing all this show, blah, 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 happy, 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 happy. But her marriage is breaking down. Who are you deceiving? Stop this nonsense, this shallow, average, middling, mediocre life. Are you not tired of deceiving everybody else when you know you cannot deceive yourself? Self deception is the biggest problem that a lot of people have. Stop deceiving yourself. You know it that you're not happy. You know that your marriage is breaking down, and every quote is about your loved one. It's because your husband has not ratted you out yet. You know that life is not as rosy as you claim it to be, but you just want to be noisy. You expose yourself to so much noise. Must you put yourself under pressure? Why must you listen to what everybody's saying? Why? Decide to change. Number two, disconnect from the overload. Learn to disconnect from the overload. Learn to disconnect. Somebody was asking me the other day, oh, blah, blah, blah about Instagram. I think it was 2 or 3 days ago, blah, blah, blah. I said, you're not following me. I called a very good friend. I said, you're not following. Oh, sorry. He changed his account. I said, I'm so sorry. Yes, I you see my post on Instagram, but I have somebody who helps me with my Instagram. I'm lucky enough, fortunate enough that I have somebody who can help me on Instagram. I can't cope. I can't do what a lot of other people do and still be seen. I can't pastor a church, run a medical business, run a medical practice, work in a teaching hospital. As I'm talking to you right now, I've just finished my call 30 minutes ago. I was on call overnight for 24 hours. I've got about 10, 12 patients to see. Immediately I finish this call right now, I'm dressed for work. I'm going to the hospital to see patients where we're admitted overnight. I've got so much to do. And then later this night, I'm doing another leadership development program for some leaders in the UK. And then tomorrow, I'll be preaching in church. Where will then I have the time to be doing all of those things? Where will I have the time to comment on all the WhatsApp groups? Where will I have the time to do all of those things? Disconnect from the overload. You're busy enough. You're busy enough. And even if you're not a business person, all of these things you're exposing to yourself to, they are taking your attentional resources. That's why you cannot see opportunities. That's why you cannot see business opportunities. You cannot see opportunities to maximize your potential, opportunities to invest. You cannot see all of those things because a lot of the things you expose yourself to have consumed your attentional resources. Bottom up interference. Bottom up interference consumes top down attention allocation. The reason why a lot of you will not achieve your goals is because you've not learned to put the filters. You've not learned to disconnect from the overload, the constant barrage of informational overload. Must you read every email? Must you open every link? Must you Google everything? Can you not just tell your mind, no, I'm not checking it out? You hear in news that somebody, a celebrity, has broken up, or two celebrities are dating. What is your own that Mr. Macaroni is dating somebody else? Is are you related to him? Must you Google it? Why must you Google it? That one celebrity, or maybe Barack Obama, is now wearing an afro. Will that change your life? Must you search that? Must you check the picture? Don't you know that once you Google that, you'll get about 200 suggestions? Don't you know that once you click on there, the ads will come? Don't you know that they will put some interesting stories there? Don't you know that one minute search will end up becoming a 1 hour exploration of nonsense, and you've wasted 1 hour of productive time with your family, time of reflection, time for meditation, time for mindfulness, time to pray, time to study God's word if you're a Christian, time to do something more meaningful with your life. Number three, declutter your world. And when I mean declutter, I mean really declutter. Physically declutter. How does your bedroom look like? What does your bedroom look like? One of the things you don't know is that just by arranging your bedroom sends a signal to your brain. There's a reason why military people or I do that. There's a reason why military people teach you how to fold your blankets. I'm fortunate to sort of work with the military and I know what that is. They teach us how to fold our blankets. They teach us how to lay our beds. They teach us how to take care of ourselves. They teach us how to dress. When I put on my military uniform, every zip, every button, everything has, there's a reason for everything. Every button has a reason. Every zip has, everything has to be there. Because if I cannot secure myself, how can I secure a weapon? If I cannot lace my, there's a technique for lacing the boots. I never knew that until I put on my military boots. That was when I realized that, wow, tying my shoelace, there's a science behind that. There's a reason behind that. There's a way, there's a technique that you have to learn. Why does the military teach that culture? It's not because they want to be lords over people. It's because they want to make our lives organized, the lives of all the military personnel organized. Because if your life is not together, how can you be together when you're under pressure in life and death situations? Start with the simple things. Start with laying your bed when you wake up in the morning. Start with picking up after yourself. Start with washing your dishes before you go to bed at night when you finish your meal. Arranging it. Don't wait for your kids to do it. Don't wait for your wife. Don't wait for your house help to do that if you have a house help. You do it yourself. Put some order. Your car. Some of you have cars that it is when so you want to pick up somebody. They're like, my car is. Why is your car so messed up? I'm getting messages. I think it's from my team. They're probably saying I should round up. Okay. So why is your car so messed up? So your car so dirty? I know you're the only one that drives the car, yes, but can you not declutter your world? Why do you have all those DVDs and CDs? Why do you have all those? Declutter your world physically and then mentally. Learn to declutter your mind. You can do that by journaling. If you have a lot of worries and stuff like that, why not write things down? Why not have a to-do list? Why not work with a task list and just put things down? Why not journal? And one of the other ways you can declutter your world is by opening up. If you're a person here and you're going through a lot of worries, talk to somebody. Declutter by talking. Don't keep your mouth shut and kill yourself with high blood pressure, heart attacks, and stuff like that. Remember that internal noise can be louder than external noise. You're a man here and you're struggling. You're struggling financially. You're struggling to keep your family together. You're struggling with your wife. You're struggling with your relationships. Don't fight the battle alone. Learn to declutter your mind. Learn to talk out. Talk to somebody. And when I mean talking is not just praying. Talking is chilling. Declutter your world. One way you can declutter your world is by just listening to silence, which is what I've been talking about. By just being silent. Some of us, we come, for those of us who are Christians, who pray. You know how Christians pray? I'm a doctor, so I know how it is. Let me tell you what happened yesterday. I was seeing a man yesterday, a patient in his 70s. He had leg pain. When he came to me 4 months ago, with his leg pain. I prescribed the medication for the pain. Guess what? He lost the script. He did not fill in the script. So he did not take any treatment. He came 4 months later with the same pain. Say, oh, doc, it's not gone away. I said, but this is the medication I gave you. You did not follow my instruction. You paid me all this money. You spent all this time with me, but you did not listen to me. You just came to talk. You just came to declutter. Declutter is not about you talking alone. It's about you listening and just being quiet. And a lot of people who are spiritual people, Christians or even other religions, they do that, isn't it? They talk to a God like God is there an object. All right. You see people pray, oh God, you must do this for me. Amen. Amen. Do it, do it, do it, do it. They can bang their head like 100 times. Do it, do it, do it. They speak in tongues. They do it, do it, do it, do it, do it. And then, okay, after you have told him to do it, will he come down now and give you breakthrough like that? Will he not use human beings? Will he not give you instruction what to do? And of course, what do? You just rush out of his presence. In Jesus' name, we pray. Hey, man, I've prayed for 3 hours. Who are you deceiving? You've prayed for 3 hours, but you've not heard anything. You've prayed for 3 hours. Listen to me here, everybody here. I'm a Christian and I'm a pastor. This is my pastor's prescription. Never leave his presence without a moment of silence. Incorporate silence into your spirituality. Incorporate silence. The reason why you're not hearing God and you're hearing people and you say you are praying and praying and praying is because you're not incorporating silence. How can you spend 1 hour with God and you don't hear him? It's because you're not listening. It's because you're only hearing yourself. And you got to train your mind. It's not going to be easy. The first time I tried to listen to silence, I didn't hear God. I was only hearing myself, and my mind was just going way haywire. And so I would just say, God, I'm here for you. For 40 days, I did that. And I'll just say, God, I'm just here for you. I just want to listen to you. I'm not here for I don't have any requests. I just want to be with you. I created that time. If it's 5 minutes, I'll just say, hey God, this is 5 minutes for you and I. I just want to be with you. I'll just with you, just reflecting on you, Jesus. And my mind will want to wander away to something. I say, no, 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 no. I'm here for you, God. I'm just here for you. I'm here for you. My mind will want to go away. No, 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 no. I say, no, this is Jesus' time. This is Jesus' time. I tell myself again, this is Jesus' time. You train, you train, you train, you train. After a while, it will be easier. Just like that's how you learn to walk. Some of you give up. The same thing, that's meditation in a way, anyway. That's meditation. But meditation without you, without an object. So I go to meditate with Jesus without an object, without a request, without a scripture, without anything. I'm just there silent with him, just telling him, hey, I'm here for you, God. I just want to be with you. That's all, God. I just want to be with you. No noise. I'm not screaming at you, God. I'm not asking for anything, God. I don't have any request, God. I just want to be with you. That's all. Declutter your world. Number 4, delegate when necessary. I have found the power of delegation. You cannot do everything. A lot of this webinar here, I've got people who I'm fortunate enough to have wonderful people: David, Mary, Kenneth, Ope, Praise, Bradley, Eve, Tofumi, amazing people who work behind the scenes to help all of these things, from designing the stuff and a few other things. So people are in the background helping out with the comments, doing all kinds of things. You have to delegate. If you're opportune to be able to delegate, delegate. And if you don't have people who can work for you, you can ask for help. Ask people to help you at times. You can't always do it alone. You can't always respond to everyone at everything in your life. Learn to delegate things. All right. Thank you, Njide. Thank you, Njide. Thank you, thank you, thank you. All the blessings. Thank you as well. And then finally, develop habits of silence. Develop habits, it takes deliberate practice. So you have to be intentional. That means you have to have a protocol, you have to have a calendar, you have to have a routine. Remember that successful people do daily what unsuccessful people do once in a while. You have to be intentional, have a routine, be deliberate, and be accountable. All right. Accountability means that have somebody that can be you that you can share your experiences with, whether it's your partner or whatever, or even yourself. You can be accountable to yourself by journaling and taking record and then reflecting on that. Have moments of reflection. Have getaways. Getaways. I encourage you. Have daily me time. This is my doctor's prescription for you. Daily me times of silence. Daily me time. Every day, if it's 5 or 10 minutes, find a time for yourself, quiet place, and try practicing listening to silence. Practice it. It will be a struggle the first few days. Your mind will not stop racing, but just always anchor yourself back to the reason why you're there. I just want to be calm. Just keep re-anchoring yourself. The more you do that, the better you'll become. Deliberate practice would help you get mastery, and you'll be able to listen to silence. You'll be able to improve your learning. You'll be able to improve your performance, and even you'll be able to connect more with God when it comes to spirituality. If you're a Christian, you can use that as an anchor. You can use your faith as an anchor for your silence. All right, because when you spend more time with God, you actually you have that culture. Um, um, of doing that. So please keep that in mind. Have daily me time where you're off, daily times of silence. Second thing I would say is weekly have times in a week where you have block of hours where you just want to pamper yourself, look after yourself, okay? And you can reflect, you can journal, you can then review your goals. Do that weekly. And annually, once in a year, have getaways. Have your annual getaways. They're very important. Getaway, go for a holiday, go for a break, go and experience nature. When I'm saying go on holiday, don't go into the hustle and bustle. Have time to just leave work, leave everything. Yeah. And when you're having your me time, don't go with your phone. Turn off the phone, turn off those things. The other thing I would encourage you to do an audit of all your subscriptions. I did not believe how much I was paying for subscriptions after COVID, how many things I'd subscribed to. All right. I'm telling you, do you need the notifications? Do you need to be notified every time something happens? Do you need to be notified? You can always hear the news later. You can always, does it have to, must you hear it real time? Must you hear the breaking news when CNN releases it? Why do you need a CNN? Why do you need CNN, whatever? You are a university student. Why do you need CNN breaking news notification on your phone? You don't need it. You can always hear it later. Why do you have to hear it in real time? Because oftentimes when it comes as breaking news, it breaks your attention, it breaks your flow. When you're in a state of flow, it breaks it. When you're concentrating about to write something, it breaks it. Get rid of that device. Turn off those notifications. Why must you know when every single chat comes on WhatsApp? The ones that are important are the ones that you should leave on. Your family, your wife, those are the ones you should leave on. Every other thing, put them aside. Let them, they will, the world will not end. You are not that, let me tell you, you are important, but you are not that important. You are important, but you are not that important. Don't overinflate your importance. Don't let your DMN, your default mode network, make you feel that you have this. It's no. If you die today, this world will not end. With all of the things that I'm doing, I don't deceive myself. If I die today, even the church will replace me. All the people that have not been faithful, the workers that have not been faithful, that's when they will be faithful. They say, I want to do it for Pastor Nee. When you did not do it when he's alive. I'm not planning to die though. But that's the reality. You think my kids will stop living or my wife will stop living? Life will continue. You are not, don't overinflate your ego. Don't make yourself look after yourself. Chill, calm down. There's a lot to live in life. Wow. Let me take a few questions and then we round up. Amazing. I've come to the end of my talk. Thank you so much for those of you who have stayed with me. I know some of you have to drop off. Please share this video, like this video, like this video, like this video, share with your friends. Let people watch this video. It's the science of science. I'll be doing a few of these webinars throughout the year. So please make sure you follow me on Instagram as well. Follow me on Instagram, Niborere. You get information there. Join my mailing list. If you go to my website, niborere.com, there's a free gift for you there. You can get the free gift. There's a book I've written, The Diary of a Brainiac. You can download the book and you can get that. So please follow me on all of those platforms. Join my mailing list so you know when. Before I take the question, I will just quickly tell my people in New Zealand, I am coming to New Zealand. I am coming to New Zealand by God's grace next month. Where are my people in New Zealand? Where are the Ekundayos? Where are the Martins? Where is, Tofumi, all of my people? 11th of March, 2023, I will be in New Zealand. All right. And I'll be talking on the neuroscience of peak performance. All right. The venue is there on the screen. If you're from New Zealand, just take a quick screenshot right now. If you're from New Zealand, all right, just anywhere in New Zealand, you must be in Auckland. The program will be in Auckland. All right, you must be there. I will be with you. And for those who are in the United States and Canada, I am coming. Okay, I don't have a flyer for you yet, but I am coming to the United States. Okay, unfortunately, I will not be doing. I would only be speaking in Dallas, so I'm going to be having a speaking event in Dallas. All right. So if you follow me, you would see that. So for those of you who live in Texas, Houston, make sure you come meet me in Dallas. I'm going to be talking about peak performance in Dallas. But I will also be visiting Atlanta, Georgia, so we can network. I have 2 or 3 days to spare to meet people in Atlanta. I'll also be in Boston for 3-4 days. So for those who are Bostonians, for those who live in Boston and in that area, we can catch up. I look forward to those hangouts. I will be in Canada by the grace of God. I'll be in Toronto and I'll be speaking in Toronto. So Canadians, you're going to meet me in Toronto, in Regina. I'm going to be in those places. Please make sure you follow me so that you can get notifications. If you want to work with me, if you want me to hold your hand, I can offer 3 months of my time. I only coach one person at a time. I don't do multiple stuff. No, I can't cope. Only one person. You get exclusive one-on-one with me, all right? And we can walk through how we can improve your performance. I'm a peak performance coach. I can get the best out of you. I'm not a life coach. I am not going to help you find your purpose. If you have not found your purpose, I refer you to Dr. Samuel Kundayo. It will get you clarity very quickly. If you know your purpose, you have a strategy, you want to build on what you already know, you want to operate at peak performance, get in touch with me. I'll walk through that journey with you and I will make sure we get the results for you. For those of you who also follow me, you'd have heard about my new book. My new book is coming out by God's grace next week. Overcoming the Little Foxes. Take a screenshot of this. You should get this book. Overcoming the Little Foxes. It's a powerful book, a blueprint for outsmarting life's challenges. This book is going to change your life. So I want to encourage you, get this book when it comes out next week. I think probably Monday or Tuesday, it will be out on Amazon and all the other stores. So God bless you. I'll take a few questions now. Questions. All right, so there's a question here from Rhoda Signatures. How do you deal with distractions that is especially constant with those in very rural and very noisy areas? All right, so that's what I shared earlier on. Sometimes you cannot extricate yourself from external noise. All right, sometimes you cannot, but the noise is not going to be all the time. So you got to find pockets of time during the day like in the very early hours of the day, when you can wake up and have some moments for yourself, where you can have moments of reflection, where you can have moments of deliberation and meditation. All right, very important for you to have those moments where you can listen to silence. We're all exposed to noise. All right, so that would happen. I'm not saying that you can't live in this world and not be exposed to noise and get emails and stuff like that, but you have to be intentional about dialing back, about having times to reflect and think through things and create it. You have to be proactive. You have to be proactive. If you're in the office and it's so noisy at times during your lunch break or whatever, take a stroll. Take a stroll down to the river, to the stream, to the beach, to a quiet park, and just have times for reflection. Practice it. Do it more often. All right. So you can't control the outside, but you can control the inside, and you can control what you allow to come on the inside of you. All right. I'll stop there. Any other question? I'm not sure how many questions. Team, how many questions do we have? Do we have a lot? So I can pace myself. Can you just tell me how many questions we're going to deal with so I can know what's the key to being at rest? Meditation, focusing your breath. Yeah, well, that's one of the strategies. One strategy of maintaining silence is with meditation, and some people focus meditation on breath, some people focus on thought. All right. I don't think it matters what you anchor it on. If you're a person of faith, you can focus on a scripture. For some people, it's music. Remember that silence is not completely the absence of sound. Silence is the absence of noise. Music may not be noise. All right. So, for example, you may be having a time of reflection and listening to nice music that will just help lift you, calm you up, and still help you reflect. The music is in the background, really, but it's setting the tone of your, going to your amygdala, creating some positive emotions. So if you want to have a moment of maybe of reflection, maybe you're in a period of praise and thanksgiving, you want to have you're in a period of gratitude, and you're playing a song of thanks and praise, all right, that kind of thing, and you're listening to that, it can set that tone for you to really reflect. So I'm not saying that meditation is good, and I think meditation is good and it's very powerful. And from a neuroscientific point of view, yes, meditation can actually improve your learning and all of that. So meditation is a way of listening to silence, but there are other ways you can do that too. What if your spouse has a outlook? What if you have a spouse whose outlook is completely different from the silence paradigm? Well, you've got to work it through then. You've got to communicate well, work it through with them. All right. You probably should invite them for this webinar, send them the link, let them go watch this on YouTube. Maybe that would, inform them. A lot of people don't know the damage they're doing to themselves. And of course, you don't want to be confrontational. You don't want to cause more trouble or create more noise. You don't want to create more noise because of that. You've got to do it in a simple way, in a nice way, in a cautious way. So with your spouse. So, walk them through that journey. Let them know why it's important. And you can actually do group meditation. You can actually listen to silence together. You can actually just be calm together. You can just have, something like, can we just reflect together and just be silent? Even you could be doing your prayers, corporately, you just hold hands or, wherever, and you just say, you know what, can we just be silent for a moment and just reflect and just listen? And you remember that you've got to train your mind. You've got to train your mind. Someone said any baby steps you would outline on how to maintain routine or ways to grow in physical and mental well-being. Baby steps starts with start. I'm not sure whether you've seen my article, my newsletter on starting small. If you send us an email, send an email to info@legacyconsults.com.au or info@newbury.com. My team will send you the transcript of the newsletter, starting small. Start, or I think there's also a video. If you go on Instagram, I did a video on starting small. Start. So the baby steps, the good thing about baby steps when it comes to getting yourself in a good mental state is by starting. Starting is the first thing. Then create the routine. I can't talk about habit formation right now because that would take a whole lot. I have a whole lot of. There's an online course that I'm doing that I've just finished. It's about we didn't mention it today, but there's an online course on the neuroscience of peak performance which you can get. And that online course, we've got a whole module on habit formation. How do you form routines? All right. How do you automate your behaviors so that once you know what to do, how can you do it repetitively enough, consistently enough so that it becomes a habit? All right. I can't sort of goal on that right now. But I think silence is something, listening to silence is a habit that we should all aspire to. And it's a behavior that we should all incorporate in our daily protocols. You should have a daily protocol of silence. So it starts by starting. It starts by you being intentional, having a to do list. On your to do list, let there be listening to silence. All right, let it be part of your protocol. Let it be a period of time. I do most of mine during my devotion, all right, in the morning. In fact, in my devotion, the first and the last part of my devotion is listening. Before I start any prayers or scripture reading and all that, I meditate. And then after that, I listen to silence. I listen to silence because I hear God more when I listen to silence. All right. Hey, Dr. Chi. Prestigious neighbor, you're up. Thank you, Dr. Chi. Thanks for that affirmation. All righty. Any other? Do you have any other questions? So, guys, thank you for staying with me. Oh, wow, over 200 people. You're still not gone away. Spend 2 hours with me. Now I've got to go to work to see some sick patients. Amazing. Thank you so much for believing in yourself. Thank you for believing in me. Thank you for attending the Science of Silence webinar. And I hope that this has changed your life. If you want to drop if you want to give me a what do you call that, a review, a positive review, you can just send it to me. Send me, the testimony. Send me a testimonial. If you were able to successfully incorporate this into your life, send it to me. Let me know how you're doing, and I'll be interested in how you progress from here. All right, so remember the links to the YouTube channel. You can always get the links on the YouTube, and share the links with other people. Let them listen. Send it to your children and different people. They will find that beneficial. And as I said, make sure you're on my mailing list. I'm going to be doing a few more webinars. My webinars are different. They're not shallow. I spend time to research. I spend time and I teach what I live. Okay, so please connect with me, stay with me. This year is going to be an amazing year. We're not scratching the surface here. We're not. If you want to go deeper, you want to be robust as a person, and you want to operate at your peak, stay with me because there's a lot of value that I will be having. Who knows? Maybe one day I'll be in Nigeria. I'm hoping maybe I'll be in Nigeria this year. I know there are a lot of Nigerian people here right now. Hey, Larry Awolokun. Hey, my buddy. God bless you. So maybe if I'm in Nigeria, we're going to be having a Nigerian event, hopefully, by God's grace. Thank you, guys. Thank you for being with me. I've got to check out right now. God bless you. Have an amazing year. Enjoying silence. Peace.